So let's say this is our chord. We've come up with this F triad in an inversion with the fourth added. Now that you've learned this, you've learned it in F. We transposed it to C. What would you do once you have this? What else can you do with this chord once you know the shape in F?
Yeah, sure. Great question. I mean, I think my first thing that I always turn to is just the voicing mastery routine that I like to tell everyone to go through to really ensure that you can kind of move on from a voicing. Like, I think that's a question that I always ask. When do I know that I now have this voicing under my fingers and in my ears and I can move on, right?
Yeah.
How do I know that this is now part of my vocabulary and I don't have to keep thinking about trying to practice it and using it over and over again and continuing to figure out what to do? And for me, that point is just when I feel pretty comfortable with it in the kind of 3-step voicing mastery process. And I believe I talked about this maybe a few streams ago, but step 1 is to be able to actually sing the degrees of the chord and basically ear train yourself on it. So if we're in the key of that, then we're going to be able to sing, 1, 4, 5, 1, 3. Right? I want to be able to sing that. I want to be able to go 1, 3, 4, 5. Right? So I want to be able to just kind of understand that my ears can jump to any degree from this chord. And if I know I can do that, then I know that I really understand on the actual auditory level the sound and the intervals within the chord, and that's a really great stepping stone to be like, yep, I've ear trained this, I know that. Step 2 would be being able to move it intervallically, as Matt briefly mentioned, but being able to just take it and move it in half steps pretty seamlessly. Being able to move it in whole steps. If you want some kind of intermediary steps to make it more musical, you can try to come up with some like motion as you do this. And I'm not doing anything specific. I'm just coming up with like a little rhythmic pattern and being like, ooh, if I move this in whole steps and create a little rhythmic pattern, how does it sound? That's just adding more musicality to the exercise. The third and final step here, in terms of the kind of foundational 3-step process, is just going to be, can you move it according to a scale? So what I just did was I moved it completely intervallically. The key doesn't matter when it's intervallic. The structure of the chord always stays the same. The intervals are always the same. When we do diatonically, now I'm saying, what is the scale that corresponds to this chord? So let's say it's F major. It's got the B flat in there, right? So now I'm going to take this chord and I'm going to basically move each note in the chord to the next note in the F major scale. And so I have to say, this one sounds really quite lovely taking it through that process. Not every chord is always going to sound as good. You don't need to worry about knowing every single voicing that you come across in the same degree. The point is just to be able to take the shape and move it through a scale diatonically. And, so this is really nice. I think I'm doing that right. And sometimes I'll play the root in the left hand just to kind of hear it against the different shapes. And then, of course, like the really tricky part is, can you now shift this chord up and do it in F sharp major? And you know what? I'll tell you right now, it's going to be really hard at first if you haven't done it before. But I don't think I've ever practiced that chord through diatonic scales before. And the reason I could just do it is because it does actually get exponentially easier the more chords you do like this. You start to see the scales and your hands just know where to go. And this is also a visual process, right? Being able to look at the keyboard and be like, oh, in F sharp major, the only 2 white notes are going to be B and F, basically, or I guess, E sharp. And then my hands are like, okay, cool, I know where to go, and I get all these diatonic shapes, and it works out. Hey, Noah here. Just want to let you know really quick that most of the content you're actually seeing on this channel is coming from completely free master classes that we've been holding. So if you actually want to join and be a part of those master classes, again, it's totally free. Click one of the links in the description that will give you access to free resources, free courses, and of course the free master classes. And as soon as you're on the email list, you will be one of the first people to know when we are holding these master classes. And on top of that, you get lots of free sheet music and videos and resources as well. So highly recommend you sign up. You can also join our free online community, which is in Discord, in a server there, so you can click the link down there for that as well. And we are on there interacting, hanging out, giving people feedback and advice, as well as on the free master classes, Zoom hangs, and feedback sessions. So again, highly recommend you get signed up, and I will see you there. So that's kind of the 3-step process. If you want to be an absolute master of a chord and be like, I can move on from this, if you can do those things that we just did to, like, I like to say, like 80% confidence, I think you are totally good to forget about that chord for a while and just let it come out naturally whenever you want. So that would be my my kind of quick version of the 3-step voicing mastery process, and what to do when you actually find a voicing that you really, really love. And then of course, once you've done all that, then I highly encourage you to just mess around, see how can I incorporate this chord into a song, how can I use it for composition, and do everything that Matt was already doing today.
Excellent. No, really great stuff. That was exactly what I was hoping to sort of, fill in some of the gaps. I kind of jumped ahead right to the musical applications, but Noah has this amazing 3-step process for really internalizing different harmonies. So that's super awesome. I just want to circle back on a couple of great points you made there. Again, the modes of knowing, there are so many. We didn't even talk about singing until Noah brought it up. Melody is unfrozen harmony, and harmony is frozen melody. If you play these melodically, that's one thing, but it's all really coming from one shape. You could play those notes in any order, and they become a really interesting melody. And especially once we go through different inversions, you get so many different things there. Super great stuff. No, that's awesome. Just having singing be a really important part of your practice. I know we can get a little intimidated by that because we're not really learning to be amazing singers, and that can, some people get a little self-conscious. That's totally fine. I did for a long time, and now I'm just singing in front of everybody because it's a quick way to communicate things. One of the things I always return to Hal Galper for some reason with these. I know, Noah, you worked with him a bit, and he said, you're the instrument. The piano is the output device for your ideas. You should tell the piano what you want, not the piano just kind of giving you these patterns and you regurgitate them. So by, singing at first, being able to go, okay, boo-doo-doo-dee, 4, 5, root, third. You could even sing the tones, the numbers of the tones. Again, you're just layering in all these different ways of knowing this shape. It's great that we just kind of took a deep dive into one shape today. There's so much you can get out of this shape.